Welcome to Greek Verse a Day. Today we're translating Revelation 1:19. You should be working from this, and I'm working from the screen. We have a shorter text today, and as I am always want to remind you, shorter does not necessarily mean easier. So we're going to read through the text twice, once slowly, once a little bit faster, give you a little space to make what you will of it before I jump in with some translation and grammar help here. So let's start with our nice slow reading. Gropson un ha edes kai ha asen kai ha mele genesthai meta tauta. All right, a little bit faster this time. Gropson un ha edes kai ha asen kai ha mele genesthai meta tauta. So go ahead and pause, take a look at the text here, all contained on one nice line, and see what you can make of it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and jump in, and we'll take this piece by piece. When we look for a main verb in the sentence, we're not going to have an indicative verb as our main verb in this case, but rather we have an imperative. So gropson right here is an aorist, active, imperative, second person, singular, from the verb grapho, which as you well know means I write. And this is going to be a verb that we see repeated throughout the first several chapters of Revelation, insofar as a command is given to write to the different churches. That's not what this command is doing. This is not a command to write to the different churches. It's a command to write something else, namely all of this. These are going to be all three are going to be three different things that are written, are the sort of the object of the writing. But immediately following gropson, so the command then translated is you write or write. We have un, which means then or therefore, and it is what is called post-positive. That is, it will never be the first word in a sentence. So we like to have words like then or therefore as the first word in a sentence, but un will never be the first word in a sentence. It pushes itself into second position, into post-positive position, which is why it's called post-positive. So therefore, write. And then we have three different relative phrases here. I'm going to take away my circle so we can sort of partition out our different relative phrases. We have ha edes, and then we have ha asen. Now let's do these in different colors, actually. And let's make boxes around them. And then ha mele genesthai. So each one of these is obviously the exact same looking relative pronoun, but they are not parsed the same way. So if you could pause for a second and see, and on your own, see if you can figure out what the parsing information for each one of these is. The case, the gender, and the number. All right, so what we have is we have neuter plural relative pronouns. And this one, do it in green here, neuter accusative plural, because it is going to be the object of this aorist verb. So this is you saw, and it's a second aorist active indicative, second person singular from harao, meaning I see. So what you saw, so the ha here is the object of this verb. And that's why we know it's in the accusative, because the accusative functions as the object of a verb. Whereas over here we have what looks the exact same, but in this case it's actually the subject, and I put a box around the subject usually and a circle around the object in a sentence. So this one is going to be neuter nominative plural. So what is happening, so this is a present indicative third person plural from a me. And actually, let's go ahead and write that down over here. Present indicative. Remember, with a-me verbs, there's no voice. So we don't have a voice here, not active, not middle, not passive. Present indicative, third person plural from a-me. And I'm writing this down because we're going to get something else over here. And so because this is plural, we have the noun in the plural over here. But then when we come to this ha over here, we're going to have the exact same parsing information, a neuter, nominative, plural. But notice in this case, our indicative verb, mele, is a present active indicative third person singular from mellow, which means I am about to, and it often takes an infinitive after it, which is exactly what we're going to find here. But notice that we have a singular verb with a plural subject here. So because this is the subject, or because it's the nominative, it is the subject. The things that are about to happen or to be. This is from Ginomai. And so remember that sort of peculiar rule that a neuter plural subject will often go with, or can go with, a singular verb. So that's what we have here. But over here, we have the exact same word, the exact same parsing information, and John has made this verb plural. So this is one of those things that sometimes frustrates translators of Revelation, or why some people will say John's Greek is maybe not the best, or maybe not the most consistent, because we would expect to have both of our verbs be in the same number, because John knows that he can use a singular verb with a neuter plural subject over here, but over here has decided to use a plural verb rather than the singular, which would be esten in this case. So not a sort of whole lot of nuance. There's not a whole lot. We should not make too much of the fact that these are different theologically or with respect to interpretation. It seems that John is just not being very consistent here. Which is okay. You know, variety is the spice of life, or something like that. So all that to say, this is going to be what is, the things that are happening, or the things that are, and what is about to happen. So it seems that, and this is, if you look at the commentaries on this verse, you'll see that this verse is, a lot of ink has been spilt on this sort of threefold structure that's going on in this verse. A lot of people say this really sort of structures the book of Revelation as a whole, that John is going to then follow or proceed in Revelation by talking about these sort of three different groups, and there's a lot of debate of how much they relate to one another. But we have a past, a present, and a future here. So what you saw, what is happening, and what is to come, or what is to happen. And then following what is to happen, we have this prepositional phrase, meta tauta. Meta takes the accusative after it to mean after. So after these things. So to put our sentence back together, write then what you saw, and what is about to happen after these things.